Hello, welcome to Learn English Lab.
Hi there.
Today we're diving deep into something really fundamental, I think, for professional success in English.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
Introducing yourself effectively in business meetings.
Ah, yes. Those first few moments, super important.
Totally. Think about it, meeting new clients, important stakeholders, maybe even just joining a new team inside your own company.
That first impression.
Exactly. A strong start can really set the stage.
Yeah.
Sure. Help establish who you are, what you're bringing to the discussion.
Yeah, definitely.
So our mission today, basically, is to give you a good handle on why this matters so much. The key bits of a solid introduction, some useful words and phrases.
And how to adapt it, right. Because it's not always the same.
Precisely. Different settings need different approaches. And we'll touch on things like, your tone, body language.
And the common mistakes people make.
Yeah.
Things to avoid.
Right. All to help you make that positive, lasting first impression.
Sounds simple, but getting that introduction right in a business setting is, well, it's pretty pivotal, actually.
You think so? More than just saying hello.
Definitely. It's really about defining your professional identity, isn't it? Your role in the company.
Okay.
And it plays a huge part in building those positive working relationships.
Yeah.
Right from the word go.
Right, you are. So it's not just a formality. It actually helps create a collaborative vibe.
I think so, yeah. It helps everyone else in the room understand why you're there, what value you might add.
Okay, makes sense.
And what's more, a confident, clear introduction, it really boosts your credibility.
Credibility. How so?
Well, if you can just clearly say who you are, what you do, what your expertise is, it just projects competence, assurance.
Especially when meeting people for the first time.
Exactly. That's when it counts most, probably.
And I guess that initial good feeling, that positive impression, it can even open doors later on.
For sure. Expanding your network, maybe exploring new business ideas. It's like planting a seed.
Planting a seed. I like that. So imagine you're at, say, a big international conference in a discussion group. They ask you to introduce yourself. That's a key moment.
Huge moment. Think about something like this. Good morning, everyone. I'm Eleanor Vance, the head of strategic partnerships for Global Tech Solutions.
Okay, standard start.
My focus is on cultivating mutually beneficial relationships with key industry players to drive innovation.
Right, giving some substance.
I'm delighted to be here and eager to exchange insights with all of you. So, see? Eleanor's intro, it hits several key points.
It's like what? Let's break it down.
Well, polite greeting, full name, her position in company, her specific focus area.
And why she's there, essentially, her purpose.
Yeah. So what do you see as the essential building blocks? What should people always try to include?
Good question. It strikes me that a good, concise intro usually has, well, a few key parts. First, a clear greeting, obviously. Hello, good morning, whatever fits.
Right. Basic politeness.
Then stating your full name clearly. No mumbling, so people actually know who you are.
Vital. Absolutely vital. No room for confusion there. Okay, after the name.
Then I think your job title and the company you work for.
Yeah, that gives immediate context, doesn't it? Why you're relevant to this meeting or situation.
Understood. So name, title, company. What else is really crucial?
Well, it's often really helpful to briefly mention your specific role or your area of expertise. Just briefly.
Ah, okay. So not just marketing manager, but maybe marketing manager focused on digital campaigns.
Something like that, yeah. It helps people understand your responsibilities, what perspective you're bringing, sets expectations.
That makes sense. Helps find common ground, too, maybe. Is there anything else that sort of rounds it off?
Yes, I think briefly stating your purpose or your objective for being at this specific meeting or event.
Why you're actually there.
Exactly. It frames your participation, signals your intent, gives a sort of roadmap for why you'll be speaking or listening.
Okay, so let's recap. We've got greeting, full name, job title and company, a quick note on role expertise, and your purpose for being there.
That's a pretty solid checklist.
Can you give us another example, just to see it all together?
Sure. Imagine someone saying, "Good afternoon, I'm Julian Hayes, the Senior Project Manager at Apex Innovations.
Okay.
My role involves leading cross-functional teams to deliver cutting-edge technology solutions, and I'm here today to discuss the proposed collaboration on Project Chimera."
Right. Very clear, very informative, covers all the bases without going on too long.
Exactly. Concise but comprehensive. Now let's think about the language itself. Are there particular words or phrases that can, add a bit more punch?
Oh, definitely. Using certain words can add a layer of professionalism, I think. For instance, instead of just saying what I do, you could talk about your role or your area of expertise.
Right. Slightly more formal.
And if it's about teamwork, using words like collaboration or partnership can set a really positive cooperative tone.
Good examples. What about actual opening phrases, things people can just grab and use?
Well, you could start with something direct, like, allow me to introduce myself, I'm the new head of operations.
Nice and clear.
Or to highlight your skills, maybe. My background is in strategic planning and implementation.
Okay.
And if you know you'll be working closely with people, something like, I'm keen to collaborate with this team on the upcoming initiatives, sounds good.
Those are all really practical. Now, obviously, business meetings aren't all the same. Does the way you introduce yourself need to change depending on the situation?
Oh, absolutely. The context is key, isn't it? You wouldn't introduce yourself the same way to a potential client as you would to your new internal team, right? Or at a networking event.
Makes sense. Let's look at a few scenarios. What about meeting a client for the very first time? What's the best approach there?
With a client, I think the focus should be on your role in relation to them and building that initial rapport.
Okay, rapport. How would that sound?
Maybe something like, hello, I'm Olivia Chen, Key Account Manager at Still Air Score. My focus is on ensuring our clients receive exceptional service and achieve their business objectives through our solutions. It's a pleasure to finally connect with you.
See, that's very client-focused. Welcoming. I like that. Okay, different scenario. Joining a new internal team.
Right. Here you want to quickly establish your role and just show you're enthusiastic about jumping in.
So maybe less formal.
A bit, yeah. Like, good morning, everyone. I'm Ben Carter, the new marketing specialist. I'm looking forward to contributing my expertise to the team's projects. Short, sweet, clear role shows eagerness.
Got it. Simple and effective. What about video conferences? They're everywhere now. Any special tips?
Yeah, good point. With video calls, especially if it's international, it can be helpful to mention your location.
Oh, interesting. Why's that?
Just gives context. Like, hello, my name is Sophie Dubois, and I'm joining you from our Paris office. I oversee the product development division, and today I'll be presenting our latest innovations. See? Location, role, purpose.
That is helpful, actually, especially with different time zones and all that. Okay, last one. Networking events. They're often a bit more casual.
Exactly. So your introduction can be a bit more conversational. You want to share what you do, but also invite them to talk.
So less of a mini presentation, more of a conversation starter.
Right. Like, hi, I'm Ethan Reed from Quantum Solutions. I work in business development, focusing on creating new opportunities. What are you working on currently?
Ending with a question opens the door.
Exactly. Makes it interactive. So yeah, tailoring the message to the audience and the goal of the interaction seems really important.
Definitely. Now, beyond the actual words, of how you say it, tone of voice, body language, how much does that matter?
Oh, massively.
Yeah.
Massively important. You could have the perfect words, but if the delivery is off,
It falls flat.
completely.
Yeah.
You should aim for a tone that's, professional, but also friendly, approachable.
Not too stiff, not too casual.
Right. And speak clearly at a decent pace. Don't rush it.
Yeah, the tendency to speed up when nervous. I gotta watch that. And nonverbal stuff.
Crucial. Eye contact is a big one. Shows confidence, sincerity.
Within cultural norms, of course.
Good point, yes. And a genuine smile. It just makes you seem more open, helps build that connection.
Makes sense. And you mentioned cultural norms. That's a big factor in international business, isn't it?
Huge. How introductions are perceived can vary a lot. Some cultures might prefer a more formal, reserved start, for example.
Like maybe in some parts of Asia?
Potentially, yes.
Yeah.
It's always smart to do a little homework on cultural etiquette before international meetings, just to avoid any awkward moments.
Good advice. Always better to be prepared. Now, flipping it around, what are the common mistakes? The things people often get wrong?
Several come to mind. One big one is speaking too fast. Like we said, nerves kick in and suddenly you're unintelligible.
Yeah, hard to follow. What else?
Using too much jargon. Technical terms that maybe not everyone in the room understands.
Oh, that's a good one. Keep it accessible.
Exactly. Also, being too vague about your role is bad, but so is giving way too much detail.
Yeah.
TMI.
Finding that balance.
Right. And then there are the basics, forgetting to make eye contact, not smiling. It just undermines the whole thing.
Can you maybe give an example, like a not so great introduction and then how to fix it?
Sure. A weak one might be like, hi, I'm like Sarah.
Yeah.
And I work in, the finance department doing stuff.
Chuckles slightly. Yeah, okay. Not very impactful. Lacks clarity, professionalism, information, really.
Exactly. How could Sarah improve that?
Well, she could say, "Good morning, I'm Sarah Miller from the Finance Division at Omnicorp. My responsibilities include managing the company's budget and financial forecasting."
Much better. Clear, concise, give specifics about her role and company. Big improvement.
Huge difference. Professionalism just went way up.
Okay, to really hammer this home, maybe a couple of quick dialogue examples, just to see it in action.
Good idea. Let's say a new project is starting. Emily might say, "Good afternoon. I'm Emily Davis, the lead software engineer for this initiative."
Okay, and someone responds.
Yeah, maybe David replies, "Pleased to meet you, Emily. I'm David Chen, the marketing strategist. I'm eager to collaborate on bringing this to market."
Nice. Clear roles, shared purpose stated. Good. Another one. Different setting.
How about a professional conference? Lisa could say, "Hello, I'm Lisa Rodriguez, representing Tech Forward Innovations. It's inspiring to be among so many thought leaders in the industry."
Sets a nice tone.
And Michael might respond, "Welcome, Lisa. I'm Michael Schmidt from Global Data Analytics. I'm particularly interested in learning about your work in AI."
See, again, exchanging info, finding common ground, works well.
These little exchanges really show how the principles apply.
And speaking of language, maybe we could touch on some slightly more sophisticated vocabulary people could use.
Oh, good idea. Like what?
Well, instead of just speaks clearly, you could say someone is articulate.
Nice. Adds a bit more finesse. What else?
Building rapport. A great word for a positive, easy connection with others. You could say someone quickly established rapport.
Valuable skill.
Or if a company sends a group, they might be called a delegation.
Useful term. Any others?
Someone who helps communication flow between groups could be a conduit or a liaison.
The bridge person.
Exactly. And the verb facilitate just means to make something easier. Like, my role involves facilitating communication between engineering and sales.
Good additions to the professional toolkit. Now, for people who like structure, are there any sort of basic templates they could adapt?
Yeah, templates could be a good starting point, definitely. For a more formal situation, maybe something like, "Good morning, afternoon. My name is full name. I serve as the job title at company name, where my primary responsibility is mention key responsibility. I am here today to state your purpose. It is a pleasure to meet you."
Okay, that's pretty comprehensive. Covers all the formal bases. What about for networking? More casual.
Right, for networking maybe. "Hi, I'm first name and I work as a job title at company. My focus area is mention your specific area of expertise. What brings you here today?"
Again, ending with that engaging question. Smart. And virtual meetings.
Given their quirks, maybe.
Yay.
"Hello, everyone. I'm full name, joining from your location office. I lead your department, and my purpose today is to briefly state your objective. Thank you for including me."
Those are really helpful starting points. People can definitely customize those. So as we wrap up, what are the absolute key takeaways? The main things listeners should remember.
Okay, let's try and summarize. Crafting that strong intro in English for business.
Yeah.
It involves, a few key steps.
Yeah, basically. Start with a clear greeting. Say your full name.
Then your position, your company.
Right. Then clearly explain your role or expertise and state why you're there, your purpose or intent for the meeting.
And maybe a short, engaging closing phrase.
Exactly. Something that leaves a good final impression.
That sums up the core components pretty well.
And remember, a confident, well put together introduction, it doesn't just say who you are, it helps build that collaborative feel, boosts your credibility.
And can genuinely open doors for the future.
For sure. And pay attention to how you say it. Be professional but friendly, speak clearly.
Maintain that positive body language, eye contact, smile, and be aware of cultural differences, especially internationally.
Crucial points. And the pitfalls to avoid.
Right. Don't speak too fast, avoid jargon unless everyone knows it, don't be too vague.
Or too long-winded. Preparation helps a lot here. Practice makes you more confident, makes a better impact.
We looked at examples for clients, internal teams, video calls, networking, showing how context really shapes the introduction.
It really does.
So as you, our listeners, go into your next professional interaction in English, think about this. What key info about you and your role needs to come across right away?
How can you make it informative, but also engaging?
It seems simple, this first step, but it's such a powerful tool for building your professional presence, isn't it?
Absolutely. So maybe reflect on this. What part of introducing yourself in a business meeting do you find the trickiest? And how can you use what we talked about today to tackle that specific challenge?
That's a great final thought. This has been really insightful looking closely at the business introduction. Thanks for sharing all that expertise.
My pleasure. It's an important skill.
And to all of you listening, if you found this deep dive helpful and you want to keep improving your English communication for the professional world, please do like, share, and subscribe to this YouTube channel. We'll have more insights and practical tips coming your way. Hello, welcome to the Learn English Lab.
Hi there.
Today we're diving straight into something really quite crucial for professional life. What exactly do you say in English before a business meeting actually starts?
Yeah, that pre-meeting time, it might seem like just, chit-chat.
Right, filling silence.
But it's more than that. Think of it as laying the groundwork, maybe, for everything that comes after.
Absolutely. It's actually more strategic than many people realize.
It really is. Those few minutes before you get down to the agenda, they're a genuine opportunity.
An opportunity to what? Connect?
Yeah, connect, build a little bit of trust maybe, and just generally make the atmosphere more comfortable, more conducive to good communication.
It's like the social lubricant, you could say.
Yeah.
Helps the meeting gears turn more smoothly.
That's a good way to put it. And it's particularly true, I think, if you're working across cultures or maybe using English as a second language.
Oh, definitely. Feeling confident handling those first few exchanges, it can make a massive difference, can it?
Huge difference. So yeah, today we're going to unpack why it matters so much, what kinds of things are safe to talk about.
Some useful phrases to have ready.
Exactly. And also, importantly, what topics to probably steer clear of.
Okay, let's start with the safe bets then. What are some reliable topics?
Well, the classic one is the weather, isn't it?
Always the weather.
And there's a good reason. It's, universal. Everyone experiences it. It's neutral.
Requires zero personal disclosure.
Precisely. It's a really easy way to break the ice without putting anyone on the spot.
Right, very low stakes. So you could ask something like, how's the weather been where you are?
Or is it usually this warm, cold, rainy this time of year here? Simple stuff.
Okay, weather. What else?
Another really dependable area is talking about travel or the commute. You know, how someone actually got to the meeting.
Yeah, that shows you're considerate, especially if they've traveled a fair way.
Exactly. And travel is a pretty common experience in business, right? So it's relatable.
Makes sense. So asking things like, did you have a smooth trip getting here?
Or even, how was the traffic this morning? Or, how's the commute from your side of town? Good openers.
Okay. What if you're meeting somewhere new, maybe in a different city?
Then bringing up local attractions or maybe asking about the local culture can be a really friendly way to engage.
Shows curiosity, yeah. And a bit of openness.
Definitely. You could try, have you had a chance to see any of the sites around here?
Or maybe, I'd love a recommendation for a good local restaurant if you know one. People usually like sharing local knowledge.
They do. Another angle, slightly more business-focused but still pre-meeting,
Sure.
is mentioning some general industry news or trends.
Oh, interesting. So not the meeting agenda itself, but the wider context.
Right. It shows you're engaged in your field, you're sort of in the know without jumping the gun on the meeting topics. Establishes a bit of common professional ground.
That's quite a smart approach. So did you catch that big tech conference last week?
Yeah.
If that's relevant.
Yeah, or have you seen the latest software update everyone's talking about? Or what are your thoughts on that recent market report? General, not specific to your deal.
Got it. And what about slightly more personal things, like hobbies?
You can touch on weekend plans or hobbies, but lightly. Keep it light.
Okay.
It can be a nice way to learn a little about someone's personality, maybe find some common ground, but you don't want to pry.
So maybe any fun plans for the weekend?
Yeah, or do you manage to get outdoors much when you're not working? Keep it general. Let them decide how much to share.
Right. So those are the go-tos. What about the no-goes? What should we definitely avoid?
Okay, this is important. You really want to steer clear of potentially divisive or overly personal stuff in that initial chat.
Like politics.
Politics, absolutely.
Right.
Religion is another big one, usually best left alone in this context.
Makes sense. What else?
Personal finances are generally off limits. Health issues too, unless, the other person brings it up themselves.
Right. Don't ask how's your bad back. Unless they mention it first.
Exactly. And it's usually wise to avoid any really controversial news topics as well. The aim is to build rapport, not start a debate.
Keep the tone positive, professional, comfortable.
That's the goal. Keep it on neutral ground, ensure everyone feels respected right from the start.
Now, you mentioned culture earlier. Does small talk change much depending on where you are or who you're talking to?
Oh, massively. It's really useful to be aware that norms can differ quite a bit. What's normal in one place might feel awkward or even rude somewhere else.
Okay, give us some examples. Like, the U.S.
Right. In the United States, small talk tends to be pretty common, quite casual, friendly. People often expect a bit of it.
And the topics.
Safe ground is usually weather, sports, if you know they're interested, maybe some non-controversial news, local attractions like we said. Enthusiasm is generally seen as positive.
But still avoid the heavy stuff.
Yeah, definitely avoid the really sensitive topics, especially early on. Asking about their weekend plans is fine. Asking about their salary is not.
Got it. What about the U.K.?
The UK approach is often, well, maybe a touch more reserved, particularly at first. Politeness is key.
So less overtly enthusiastic, maybe.
Perhaps. Focus tends to be on neutral topics. Weather, again, is huge.
You can't escape the weather.
Never. Travel experiences, maybe cultural events like a play or exhibition. Understatement can be common, and maybe a bit of self-deprecating humor.
And avoid boasting.
Yes,
Yeah.
generally avoid boasting. And overly personal questions right at the start are usually not the way to go.
So in the UK, a classic might be big gray out there today, isn't it?
Pretty much. Or, did you manage to catch that program on TV last night? Very safe territory.
Okay. How about Canada?
Canadians are generally known for being polite, quite open. Small talk often revolves around shared experiences.
Like what?
Again, weather's big, especially the extremes. Outdoor activities are popular topics, community events. They often value inclusivity, maybe show genuine interest in where you're from. Authenticity is appreciated.
So maybe something like, this snow is really something. Do you ski?
Yeah, that sounds pretty Canadian. Or asking about local parks or trails.
And Australia.
Australia tends to be quite informal, often more direct.
Okay.
They often appreciate humor, maybe even a bit of lighthearted teasing or banter once rapport is built a little. Sports are huge. Travel, weekend plans are all common topics.
So less formality.
Generally, yes. They tend to value authenticity, being straightforward. Overly formal language might seem a bit stiff, but again, keep away from genuinely divisive or offensive topics.
A casual g'day, house things might work well then.
Depending on the context, yeah. Or, how was your weekend? Get up to much.
And what about when you're in a really international setting with lots of non-native English speakers?
That requires extra sensitivity, really. Be mindful of different cultural norms and also potentially varying levels of English proficiency.
So how do you navigate that?
Start with those truly universal topics, weather, maybe the journey there. Keep your language clear and relatively simple, at least initially. Avoid complex idioms or slang.
And pay attention to their responses.
Absolutely. Observe their comfort level. Are they engaging easily? Or do they seem hesitant? Adjust accordingly. Patience and clarity are key.
A simple, warm welcome is always a good start. Welcome, so glad you could make it.
Exactly. Keep it universally polite and positive.
Okay, this is all great context, but let's get practical. What are some essential phrases people can actually use?
Right. Having a few phrases ready can really help. For initiating, getting the conversation started.
Yeah, the opening line.
You could go casual, especially if you've met before, like, how's it going? It's pretty common in many English-speaking places.
Or a little more formal, but still friendly.
Maybe. Nice to see you. How have you been?
That works. What if they're new to the office?
A considerate one is, did you have any trouble finding the place? Or, did you find us okay? Shows you're thinking of their journey.
And maybe a bit more direct.
You could write, what brings you here today? It's polite, but clearly signals the business purpose is coming without being abrupt.
Okay, so you've started the chat. How do you keep it going? Sustain it.
Good question. Showing genuine interest is key. Something like, that's interesting. Tell me more about that.
Invites them to elaborate.
Yeah. Or, if you find common ground, I hear you. It's been like that for me too. Or, I know what you mean. Builds connection.
What about asking questions?
Definitely. What do you think about? Followed by a safe, neutral topic we discussed, like a recent industry trend.
It keeps them involved.
Or you could introduce something relevant yourself, like I was just reading about. Again, keeping it neutral.
And responding when they ask you something.
Keep it positive and relatively brief, then maybe turn it back to them. Not much. Just keeping busy. How about you? Is a classic.
Simple, polite.
Or, it's been great. Thanks for asking. And if they ask about work specifically,
Yeah.
you could say something general like, I've been working on that project we discussed last time, or things are busy but good. Keep it professional. Don't necessarily dive into massive detail unless it's appropriate.
Okay, and then the tricky part maybe. Ending the small talk and starting the meeting.
Yeah, the transition. You need a polite way to signal it's time to get down to business.
How do you do that smoothly?
Phrases like, well, it's been great catching up. Shall we get started? work well.
Nice and clear.
Or, I've really enjoyed chatting, looking forward to the discussion. This acknowledges the pleasant chat, but signals the shift.
Or even more direct.
Maybe. Right then, let's dive into the agenda, shall we? It's polite, but unambiguous.
Those are super helpful. You mentioned rapport earlier. Maybe quickly define a few key terms.
Good idea. So rapport, that's basically the feeling of connection, understanding, harmony between people, what you're trying to build with small talk.
Okay. And icebreaker.
An icebreaker is just something you say or do right at the beginning to ease tension and get people talking comfortably, like asking about the weather.
Got it. Neutral.
A neutral topic is one that isn't likely to cause disagreement or offense. Safe ground. Weather, travel, general industry news.
And engage.
To engage just means to actively listen and participate in the conversation. Show interest, ask questions, respond thoughtfully.
Perfect. Now, even with all this advice, people can still make mistakes, right? What are some common pitfalls?
Oh, absolutely. One very common one is talking too much, dominating the conversation.
Forgetting it's a two-way street.
Exactly. Remember to keep your own contributions reasonably brief and make sure you ask questions to involve the other person. Listen more than you speak, perhaps.
Good rule of thumb. What else?
Asking overly personal questions too soon. We've touched on this, but it bears repeating. Stick to neutral territory, especially at first.
And the opposite of neutral, bringing up controversial stuff.
Big mistake. Politics, religion, anything potentially divisive, it can just create an awkward atmosphere before you've even started the real business. Keep it safe and broadly relatable.
Okay. What about tone?
Sometimes people can be a bit too formal or stiff, they're nervous maybe, but try to relax, use conversational language, a warm tone, it makes you seem more approachable.
Less like a robot.
Right. And a huge one, not listening actively, just waiting for your turn to speak.
Guilty as charged sometimes.
We all are. But really try to show your listening nod, use those little affirmations like, ask follow-up questions based on what they said.
Shows you actually heard them.
It does. And finally, forgetting to transition. Letting the small talk drag on too long or cutting it off too abruptly. Watch for cues that people are ready to start and use those transition phrases we mentioned.
Great tips. Now, what specific advice would you give to non-native English speakers who might find this particularly challenging?
Yeah, it can definitely feel like an extra hurdle. First off, preparation helps enormously.
How so?
Memorize a few versatile phrases for initiating, responding, transitioning. Just having those ready can boost your confidence a lot.
Like a safety net.
Exactly. Second, really focus on active listening. Don't worry so much about formulating your perfect next sentence while they're talking. Focus on understanding them. Use short affirmations. Okay, I see.
And language complexity.
Simplify. Use clear, concise language. You don't need complex vocabulary or lots of idioms and slang. Clarity is much more important than sounding fancy.
That's reassuring.
Also, observe native speakers. Pay attention to their tone, the topics they choose, their body language. You can learn a lot just by watching and listening.
And if you make a mistake.
Don't panic. Everyone makes mistakes, native speakers too. Just apologize briefly if necessary. Oh, sorry, I meant. And move on. Don't dwell on it.
Good advice. Body language matters too, right?
Hugely. Smile. Try to maintain comfortable eye contact. Nod to show you're listening. Positive body language speaks volumes, even if you're struggling a bit with the words.
What about practice?
Practice is key. Try role-playing scenarios with a friend, a colleague, a teacher. Even practicing responses out loud by yourself or recording yourself can help you hear how you sound.
And finally, remember the cultural aspect.
Yes, loop back to that. If you know you'll be interacting with people from a specific culture, do a little research beforehand on their business etiquette and communication style. It shows respect and preparation.
So wrapping things up then, mastering this kind of business English small talk, it's genuinely a valuable skill, isn't it?
It really is. It's fundamentally about building those professional relationships, setting a positive, collaborative tone right from the start of any interaction. It's about making human connections, not just business transactions.
Yeah, making those connections.
So remember to be mindful of cultural nuances, choose those safe, neutral, but hopefully engaging topics, and have some of those useful phrases ready to deploy. Even small efforts here can lead to much stronger collaborations down the line.
It really lays the foundation. So maybe a challenge for everyone listening. For your next meeting, perhaps try using just one new phrase we talked about today.
Good idea. Or consciously focus on active listening during that pre-meeting chat. See how it feels.
Exactly. With a bit of practice, you really will become more comfortable and confident handling any small talk situation that comes your way.
Definitely. It gets easier.
Well, if you found this deep dive helpful, please do give us a like, share with anyone else who might benefit, and subscribe to this YouTube channel for more insights into effective communication.
Thanks for tuning in.
Hello, welcome to the Learn English Lab.
Hello.
Today, we're diving into something really crucial for anyone working in an English-speaking environment. And that's how to make polite requests and offers at work.
Absolutely. This is fundamental, really. How we ask for things and how we offer help, it genuinely shapes our professional relationships.
It really does. It's more than just, sticking a please on the end. It's a soft skill, isn't it?
Exactly. It helps maintain harmony, professionalism. It just makes everything smoother.
So we're going to explore how the words you choose and even your tone can have a massive impact.
Our goal today is pretty straightforward, to give you practical ways to make requests and offers that work well and show consideration.
Okay, let's get into it. First things first, what do we actually mean by politeness in English, especially at work?
Well, it's often about being mindful, considerate. It's about showing respect for the other person's time, their workload, their position maybe.
And a key part of this is the difference between being direct and indirect, right?
Huge difference. Direct language is straight to the point, like, give me the report.
Which can sound a bit harsh sometimes.
It certainly can, whereas an indirect approach might be something like, could you possibly send me the report when you have a moment?
Oh, okay. That feels much gentler.
It does. That indirectness, it shows respect. It leaves a little room, acknowledges the other person isn't just there to serve your immediate need. It fosters collaboration, I think.
Yeah, that makes sense. And formality levels play a part too, surely.
Yeah.
You wouldn't talk to your boss the same way you talk to your desk buddy.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
There's, informal language for people you know well. Then there's a sort of neutral, standard professional tone.
Right.
And then the more formal style, perhaps for clients, senior management, or in important emails.
So let's talk structures.
Yeah.
What are some common ways to phrase a polite request?
Okay, probably the most common is starting with could you? Like, could you finish the client presentation by Friday, please?
Simple, effective.
Right.
What else?
Would you mind is another really good one. It sounds very considerate. Or do you think you could? That one sort of gently checks their capability or availability.
I like that. It's less like an order.
Exactly. And even softer is, I was wondering if you could. This is great if you're maybe a bit hesitant or unsure if they can do it.
Okay, I was wondering if.
Yeah.
Good one to remember.
And there's also, would it be possible to? Again, focusing on the possibility, not demanding it.
So lots of options there. And you mentioned softening things further.
Yes, using modal verbs like could, would, might instead of can or will makes a big difference. It introduces that conditionality, makes it feel less absolute.
And what about little words? Like
Yeah.
just or possibly?
Those are great softeners. Adding just, possibly, perhaps, maybe a little bit, can really dial down the intensity. So instead of to take over this task, maybe, do you think you might be able to just take over this task temporarily?
See, that sounds much more reasonable.
It does, and certain vocabulary words also help. Instead of just help, you could use assist.
Ah, so could you assist with the documentation? Sounds a bit more professional.
Precisely. Or instead of send me the email, you might say, could you forward me the email thread? Forward is specific workplace language.
Okay. And for organizing things.
You might ask someone to coordinate something. Would you mind coordinating the schedule? It suggests managing the details.
And setting up meetings.
You schedule. Could you schedule a meeting for tomorrow? Much better than set up a meeting or let's meet.
Got it. What about emails? Does politeness look different in writing?
The principles are the same, but maybe even more important because you don't have tone of voice. So starting politely helps.
Like using, I hope this message finds you well.
Yes, that's common. Or a clear but polite start like, I'm writing to request.
Can you give us a quick example of a polite email request?
Sure, something like, Dear Sarah, hope you're having a good week. I was wondering if you might be able to provide the quarterly budget report, perhaps by end of day tomorrow. Please let me know if that time frame works or if you need anything from my end. Best regards, James.
Okay, that hits several points. The soft opening, wondering if might be able to. Suggesting a time frame, gently. Offering support.
Nice.
Exactly. All right, let's switch gears. What about making polite offers? How do we offer help without sounding pushy or maybe insincere?
Good question. Again, certain structures are common. Would you like me to is a classic.
Example.
Would you like me to proofread the report before the meeting? It's clear, helpful, and puts the choice with them.
Okay, what else?
Can I help you with is also very standard. Direct but friendly. Shall I is another option, maybe slightly more formal sometimes. Shall I make the coffee or shall I take care of the booking?
Right.
And a more cautious offer might be, I can if you'd like. For example, I can handle that client call if you'd like. Gives them an easy out.
Useful vocabulary for offers.
Yeah, words like handle, can I handle this for you, implies taking full responsibility.
Oh, yeah.
Would you like me to cover your shift? That's specific for substitution.
Makes sense.
Take care of, shall I take care of the travel arrangements? Means you'll manage it all.
Right.
And I can look into that issue if you prefer. That means investigate or explore.
In offering help in, say, a team meeting, how do you volunteer politely?
You could say something like, if nobody else is already on this, I could take it on. Or, more directly, I'd be happy to support this project.
Shows willingness without stepping on toes.
Exactly.
Now, you mentioned culture earlier. Politeness isn't universal, is it?
Not at all. What's polite in one culture might seem overly direct or maybe even frustratingly indirect in another. Tone is crucial, and being mindful of different cultural norms is key. It's a bit of a learning curve sometimes.
Yeah, I can imagine. And hierarchy. Does that change things?
It often does. You might phrase a request to your manager much more indirectly than you would to a peer, for instance. Gender dynamics can sometimes play a role too, unfortunately, in how requests or offers are perceived. It's complex.
Worth being aware of, definitely. Let's make this concrete with some quick examples. How about requesting time off?
Okay, an employee might say, Hi Lisa, I was wondering if it would be possible to take next Friday off. I've made sure all my urgent tasks are completed.
Nice and indirect. And the manager.
Could reply, Sure, John, that should be fine. Thanks for planning ahead and letting me know. Polite and appreciative.
Okay, another one. Offering help.
Maybe someone sees a colleague looking stressed. Hey Sam, you look a bit swamped there. Would you like me to give you a hand with compiling that data?
And the response.
Oh, Nina, that would be amazing. Thank you so much. Grateful acceptance.
Perfect. How about requests in a team meeting?
A project lead might say, Okay, team, could I ask everyone to please send through their weekly updates by, say, 2 p.m. today so I can compile the report?
Clear, polite, gives a reason.
Yep. And a team member replies, Sure thing. We'll send mine over shortly. Cooperative.
Great examples. Now, let's touch on the grammar behind this. We mentioned modals.
Right. Using could, would, might is generally more polite, more tentative than can, will, or must. They create distance, make it less of a demand.
And conditionals, like if.
Yes, using if clauses softens things too. If you have time, could you look at this? Or, if it's not too much trouble, would you mind? Makes the request conditional on their ability or convenience.
So it puts the power back with them, in a way.
Exactly. It shows consideration.
Okay, let's try putting this into practice. How would you make give me the report polite?
Lots of ways. Could you give me the report, please? Or would you mind sending the report over? Or even, I was wondering if you could share the report.
Okay, how about I need help with this?
More polite might be, would you mind helping me with this? Or could you possibly give me a hand with this? Or I'm a bit stuck. I was wondering if you could help.
And send this to the client. Direct.
Too direct. Better. Could you please send this to the client? Or, I'd appreciate it if you could send this to the client. Or, would you mind sending this off to the client when you get a chance?
Got it. Quick quiz then. Fill the blank. You mind joining the meeting at 10 a.m.?
That would be, would you mind?
Correct. And this one, if you could take a look at this document.
I was wondering if...
Perfect. So quick summary of key phrases for requests.
Remember, could you? Would you mind? I was wondering if. Those are your go-tos.
And for offers.
Think. Would you like me to? Can I help you with? Or shall I?
Excellent. Any final tips for our listeners?
I'd say always be mindful of your tone, even in writing. Adapt your language based on who you're talking to, their role, your relationship. Use those modal verbs and softeners we talked about. And honestly, just practice. Try using these phrases in different situations.
Practice makes perfect, right?
At least makes it feel more natural. Oh, and a few extra useful phrases. At your convenience means whenever it suits them. Please send it at your convenience.
Nice one.
If you don't mind, checks if they're okay with something. If you don't mind, I'll grab a quick coffee. Be happy to shows willingness. I'd be happy to assist with that.
Always good to hear.
And no problem at all. A very common, friendly way to agree to help. Can you print this? Sure, no problem at all.
Great additions. Well, we really hope this exploration has given you some valuable tools for making those polite requests and offers in English at work.
Remember, that kind of thoughtful communication, it really can make a huge difference in your day-to-day professional life and relationships.
Absolutely. So if you found this helpful, please do like this video, share it with anyone else who might benefit, and subscribe to the Learn English Lab channel for more lessons and practice.
Thanks for tuning in.
Hello, welcome to the Learn English Lab.
Great to be here.
Today we're diving straight into something, well, pretty essential for anyone in the modern workplace. Mastering how you communicate on the phone in English for business.
Oh, absolutely. It's crucial whether you're handling a tricky customer call, maybe setting up important meetings, or even just, quickly touching base with colleagues, using the right phrases. It just makes such a difference. It really affects how professional you sound.
You got it. So in this deep dive, we're aiming to equip you with the vocabulary, the phrases you really need to sound confident, effective on those business calls. We'll try and cover the basics, like answering properly all the way through to maybe some trickier situations you might run into.
Sounds like a plan. Where should we start?
Okay, so preparation. Before you even think about dialing.
Yeah, even before that, it helps to know some basic terms, just, the jargon.
Like what?
Well, simple things like receiver, that's just the person answering the phone. And caller is obviously the person making the call. Then you've got voicemail, which everyone knows for when they can't pick up.
Right, standard stuff.
And maybe extension if you need a specific person in a bigger company. Or hold, putting someone on hold.
Yes, hold. And conference call for group chats.
Exactly. Conference calls for multiple people and maybe the operator if you need help getting connected. Knowing these words is, well, it's foundational.
It sets the stage.
It does. And building on that, actually preparing for the call itself is, I think, often overlooked, but so important.
How so?
Well, before you dial, just take a second. What's your objective? What do you actually need to achieve with this call?
Good point. Yep. Define the purpose first.
And have your information ready. Any documents, notes, anything you might need?
Oh, definitely. There's nothing worse than rustling papers or clicking around trying to find something while the other person's waiting.
Exactly. And a big one, especially these days, time differences, if you're calling internationally.
Ah, yes. Crucial.
You really need to check. Calling, say, Germany from New York late in your afternoon could mean you're waking someone up.
Right. A quick check saves potential embarrassment. Or worse.
A little planning goes a long way.
Okay, so we're prepped. We know the basic lingo. How do we actually start the call, making that first impression?
Right. Well, a really standard, polite, and effective way is something like, good morning, or good afternoon. This is your name from your company.
Simple, clear. Gets the key info out.
Precisely. And if you need a specific person,
Then what?
a simple, may I speak with person's name, please, works perfectly. It's polite, direct.
And is it a good idea to say why you're calling right away?
Generally, yes. It helps provide context. You could say, I'm calling to discuss whatever the topic is.
Okay.
Or even something considerate like, I hope I'm not calling at a bad time, or is now a good time to talk quickly.
That shows respect for their time. I like that.
Definitely. And if you need to be more specific about the reason,
Yeah, like getting straight to the point.
you can use phrases like, I'm calling in regard to, or the reason for my call today is to.
Well, maybe following up.
Yes, I just wanted to follow up on. That's very common. Or if it's about logistics, I'd like to confirm our meeting scheduled for.
Right. Makes sense. Can we maybe walk through a quick example just to hear it?
Sure. Let's imagine Sarah Patel from Bright Tech Solutions needs to call someone, let's say, at another company to confirm a meeting.
Okay.
So the phone rings. The person answers, maybe says, hello, John Smith speaking. Sarah would then say, good morning, John. This is Sarah Patel calling from Bright Tech Solutions.
Got it.
Just might say, good morning, Sarah. How can I help you? And Sarah gets straight to it. I'm calling to confirm our meeting scheduled for Thursday at 10 a.m. Is that still suitable for you?
Perfect. Clear, polite, efficient.
Exactly.
Okay, let's flip that now. What about when you're the one answering the phone at work? How do you sound professional?
Good question. A really solid way is, good morning, your company name. This is your name speaking.
Right. Identifies the company and you.
Or if you work in a specific department, maybe. Hello, sales department, your name speaking. How can I help you? Adding that, how can I help you, is often quite useful.
Yeah, prompts the caller. What if?
Yeah.
What if you don't understand what they said? Maybe the line's bad or they have an accent.
Oh, that happens all the time.
Oh.
Don't be afraid to ask for clarification. It's much better than guessing.
So what do you say?
Polite options include, I'm sorry, could you repeat that, please? Or, sorry, I didn't quite catch that.
Okay.
If it's a specific word, like a name or maybe an email address, you could ask, would you mind spelling that for me, please?
That's useful. Now, transferring calls. How do you do that smoothly without just dumping the caller somewhere?
Yeah, smooth transfers are key. You should always tell the caller what you're doing. So say something like, certainly, let me transfer you to the marketing department. Or, one moment, please, I'll put you through to Mr. Jones now.
Keep them informed.
Exactly. Or even just a moment, please, I'll connect you.
And putting someone on hold, sometimes you need to check something quickly.
Always ask first. Never just put someone on hold without warning.
Right.
So, would you mind holding for just a moment while I check that? Or, can I put you on hold for a second?
And then?
And crucially, when you come back, thank them. Thank you for holding, or thanks for your patience.
With courtesies. Okay, maybe another quick example.
Yeah.
Receiving and transferring.
Sure. Phone rings. Receptionist. Good morning, Global Solutions. Emily speaking.
Okay.
Caller. Hello. Yes. Could I please speak with James Carter in accounts? Receptionist. Certainly. Could I tell him who's calling, please? Caller. Yes, it's Maria Rossi from Apex Industries. Receptionist. Thank you, Miss Rossi. One moment, please. I'll just put you through.
Nice and smooth.
That's the idea.
Okay, moving beyond just the words. What about the general vibe, the etiquette on a call?
Yes. Telephone etiquette. Hugely important. Politeness is paramount.
Like using please and thank you.
Absolutely. And sorry, or I apologize when needed. It sounds basic, but it really smooths the interaction.
And interrupting. Probably best to avoid that.
Definitely try not to interrupt. Let the other person finish their thought. It shows respect.
Oh.
Speaking clearly is vital. Don't mumble. And speak at a moderate pace, not too fast, not too slow, especially important if there might be language differences.
Good point. And how do you make sure you've understood everything correctly to avoid mistakes later?
That's where confirming understanding comes in. It's a great habit.
So how do you do that without sounding like you weren't listening?
You can frame it positively. Say something like, okay, so just to confirm, you need the report by Friday. Or let me just repeat that back to make sure I've got it right.
Okay.
Or just to be sure I understood correctly, the delivery address is. It shows you're being careful.
Can you give a quick instance?
Sure. Imagine you're agreeing on a delivery date for some important documents. One person says, we'll get those contracts to you by end of day Wednesday. The other person could confirm by saying, okay, great. So just to confirm, that's arrival by the end of Wednesday. First person, yes, that's correct.
Simple check. Avoids major problems if someone misheard Wednesday for Thursday.
Exactly. Saves a lot of trouble down the line.
Okay, makes sense. Now, a common scenario. The person you need isn't there. Taking and leaving messages effectively.
Right. If you're the one taking the message, you need to get the key info.
Like what?
Ask clearly. Can I take a message for him?
Right.
Or would you like to leave a message?
And find out who called.
Yes, essential. May I ask who's calling, please? And critically, what's the best number for person's name to call you back on?
Get that callback number. What about if you're the one leaving the message? Maybe on voicemail.
Keep it clear and concise. State your purpose quickly.
So phrases like,
hello, this message is for name. This is your name from your company. Then the reason. I'm calling regarding workout. Or could you please ask him to call me back?
and leave your number clearly.
Absolutely. My number is your number. I can be reached until 5 p.m. today. Maybe add the best time to call back.
Let's hear a quick voicemail example then.
Okay. Hi, Sarah. This is Daniel Chen from Apex Marketing. I'm just calling to follow up on the presentation slides for next week's meeting. If you could give me a quick call back when you have a moment, my number is 555-123-4567. Thanks. Bye.
Short, sweet, has all the info. Perfect.
That's the goal.
Okay. Business calls often involve specific tasks, like scheduling or rescheduling meetings. What are some good phrases for that?
When you're trying to find a time, you might ask, are you available on Tuesday morning? Or, what time works best for you on Wednesday?
And if that doesn't work?
Offer alternatives. Okay, how about Thursday at 2 p.m.? Would that work? If you need to change something already booked, be direct, but polite. Something's come up, I'm afraid I need to reschedule our meeting. Would Friday afternoon be possible instead? Or let's reschedule our call too.
Clear and proposes a solution. Nice. Now, sometimes things go wrong. You need to apologize professionally.
Yes, owning up to mistakes or issues is important. Use clear apologetic language.
Such as?
I sincerely apologize for the inconvenience this has caused. Or maybe, I'm very sorry for the delay in responding to your email.
And maybe offer reassurance.
Yes, if appropriate. We'll look into why this happened and make sure it doesn't occur again. Taking responsibility is key.
Makes sense. And what about when you need to ask for something? Make a clear request.
Again, politeness is key, even when being direct. Could you please send me that report by the end of the day?
Using could you or would you?
Yes, exactly. Would it be possible to get an update on the project status? Or can you please provide the final figures?
Okay, let's think of a scenario. Maybe a client call about a problem.
All right. Imagine a client calls. Maybe they're missing an invoice they were expecting. They say, "Hi, I was expecting an invoice last week, but I haven't received it yet."
How should the company respond?
A good response would be, "Oh, I do apologize for that oversight. Let me look into that for you immediately. Could you please confirm your company name and the invoice number if you have it?"
Shows you're taking it seriously and acting on it.
Right. And then follow through.
Okay, so we've handled the call, maybe resolved an issue. How do we wrap things up politely, ending the conversation?
Good closing is important too. Don't just hang up abruptly.
So what are some good closing lines?
Simple things like, "Thank you very much for your time today," or "It was good speaking with you."
Acknowledging the interaction.
Yes. You could also mention next steps. Okay, I'll follow up with an email summarizing this. And then a simple closing like, "Have a great day," or "Have a productive afternoon."
Let's hear a quick close.
Okay. Caller. "All right, that's everything I needed. Thanks so much for your help." Receiver. "You're very welcome. Glad I could assist. Is there anything else?" Caller. "No, that's all for now." Receiver. "Okay then, have a good rest of your day." Caller. "You too. Goodbye." Receiver. "Goodbye."
Polite, confirms nothing else is needed, ends warmly.
Exactly.
Now let's just touch briefly on maybe some more specialized call types, like sales calls or tech support.
Sure. In sales calls, you'll often hear openers like, "I'm calling today to introduce our new software solution," or "We're currently running a special offer I thought might interest you."
And they often try to schedule something.
Yes, often ending with something like, "Would you be open to scheduling a brief 15-minute demo next week?"
Okay. And technical support calls, they can sometimes be a bit tense.
They can. Key phrases from the support side might be, "Okay, can you describe the issue you're seeing in detail?" Or, "Let me walk you through some troubleshooting steps."
Patience is key there, I imagine.
Definitely. They might also ask, "Has this happened before?" Or, "What changed just before this started happening?" They need info to diagnose.
And dealing with complaints,
Yeah.
that requires a specific approach too.
Absolutely. Empathy first. "I understand your frustration," or "I can see why you're upset."
Acknowledge their feelings.
Yes. Then move to problem solving. "Let's see how we can sort this out for you," or "What would be an ideal resolution for you?" And always, "Thank you for bringing this to our attention. We appreciate the feedback."
Shows you value their input, even if it's negative.
Precisely.
Okay, one last area. Business is global now. Any cultural things to bear in mind with phone calls?
That's a really important point. Yes, definitely. Cultures differ in communication styles.
How so?
Well, levels of formality, for instance. In some cultures, maybe like Japan or Germany, a more formal tone might be expected, especially initially,
Compared to where?
compared to perhaps the US or Australia, where things might become more informal or direct, a bit quicker. It pays to be aware, maybe start more formally.
Good advice. And we mentioned time zones already.
Crucial. Always be mindful of the other person's working hours. Calling someone's mobile late at night is generally a bad idea unless it's a real emergency.
Right. Are there any specific words or phrases that are just universally bad? Things to avoid?
Well, sounding abrupt or rude is always bad. Using just "what?" if you didn't hear something can come across poorly.
What's better?
Much better to say, "Sorry, could you repeat that?" or "Pardon," or "I missed that." Similarly, avoid very informal grunts like, "Huh." It just sounds unprofessional.
Keep it polite and clear.
Always.
Wow. Okay. This has been a really comprehensive look at navigating business calls in English. Lots of practical tips there.
Well, the goal is to feel more prepared. Mastering these kinds of phrases, it's a really significant step, in boosting your professional English skills overall.
Absolutely. And remember, like any skill, it's about practice. Consistently using these phrases, paying attention to your tone, your clarity, that's what builds confidence.
It really does. Don't be afraid to try them out. We really encourage you to actively incorporate these phrases into your work calls, starting today maybe.
Definitely. And if you found this deep dive useful, and we hope you did, please do give us a like, consider sharing it with colleagues or friends who might benefit. And of course, subscribe to the Learn English Lab channel here on YouTube. We've got lots more content coming to help you improve your English.
We certainly do. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks, everyone.
Hello, welcome to the Learn English Lab. Today, we're diving deep into a truly vital area for anyone doing business in English. Mastering the skills of confirming, clarifying, and following up.
Yeah, it's so important. And today's, fast-paced global business landscape, communicating with precision and clarity isn't just a nice to have.
Yeah.
It's absolutely fundamental.
Right.
It's really the bedrock of strong professional relationships. And, well, preventing misunderstandings is key to avoiding missed deadlines, projects going off the rails.
Damage reputations, too.
Exactly. Think of it as building a shared understanding, brick by careful brick.
That's a good way to put it. And this deep dive, it's designed to give you practical tools, real-world expressions you can actually start using right away to sort of boost your everyday business interactions, especially, I think, when you're working in international teams, writing emails, those virtual meetings.
And definitely virtual meetings.
Or negotiating with clients, maybe in different parts of the world. Let's think about a common scenario. Someone just says, please send the documents by Friday. Sounds simple, right?
Yeah, simple.
But immediately, questions pop up, don't they? Like, which Friday? What specific documents? Who needs them?
Precisely. That seemingly straightforward request is just full of potential confusion. We'll explore how proactively confirming details and, asking for clarification can sort of fix that ambiguity before it causes problems.
Okay.
And also, we'll talk about how a well-timed follow-up ensures important stuff doesn't just get dropped or forgotten. It's about sort of taking ownership of clear communication.
Okay, so let's start with confirming information. What is it, really?
Well, at its heart, confirming is just about making sure you and the other person, you have the same understanding.
Right, a shared understanding.
Yeah, it's a proactive step. Helps catch potential mistakes early on, and it gives reassurance, that the message landed correctly.
It's like double-checking your homework before handing it in.
Kind of, yeah. And there's some really helpful phrases you can weave into conversations and emails to confirm things effectively.
Okay, like what?
Well, for instance, just to double-check specifics, you might start with just to confirm. Simple. If you want to sort of lock down an agreement, so we're agreed on, it's great for making sure everyone's aligned.
Yeah, on the same page.
Exactly. And if you want to repeat something back, just to check you got it right, if I understood you correctly, that's a fantastic tool.
I like those because they feel collaborative. They invite the other person in, don't they? It's not just you stating something.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
It is collaborative. And you can also use phrases like, I'd like to confirm that, just to restate something crucial.
Or maybe as per our conversation, to link back to something you discussed before.
Yeah, perfect for referring back and verifying the agreed points. And, building your vocabulary around this helps too.
Okay.
Think about verify. Means to check or prove something's true, like I'll verify the timeline with the design team.
Got it.
Or agreement, a decision reached between people. We reached an agreement on the budget. Simple. Then there's recap, like a quick summary. Let me give you a quick recap of the meeting.
Useful.
And confirmation, that's more like a formal statement that something's definite. We received confirmation from the client. And finally, assurance. That's like a promise, a certainty. She gave her assurance it would be done on time.
It's interesting how each word has a slightly different feel, a different weight.
It does. Let's think about a practical situation. Confirming a meeting.
Okay.
Someone might ask, just to confirm, is our meeting still at 3 p.m. tomorrow?
And the other person says?
Yes, we're meeting at 3 p.m. via Zoom. Boom. Clear. No last-minute panic about time or, how you're connecting.
Yeah, avoids that frantic, which link is it?
Yeah.
5 minutes before?
Exactly. And confirming tasks, especially in writing, is just indispensable. Think about an email subject line. Confirmation of action items.
Yep.
And the email says something like, hi, Sarah, just confirming. I'll do the sales report. You'll handle the client presentation for Friday. Let me know if that's not right. Best, James.
Super clear. Confirms who does what, by when. And having it written down.
Adds that layer of clarity, yeah, and accountability.
Okay, so that's confirming. What about clarifying? How is that different?
Clarifying is more about digging deeper. It's actively asking questions, maybe rephrasing things to make sure you completely understand.
Especially if instructions are a bit fuzzy.
Exactly. Or if the topic is complex, maybe unfamiliar. And you shouldn't hesitate to ask for clarification. It actually shows you're engaged, that you care about getting it right.
Yeah, sometimes the best questions are the clarifying ones everyone else is afraid to ask.
That's so true. Again, there are some great phrases. Could you please clarify? Is direct, but still polite, asking for more detail.
Okay.
If you're stuck on a specific word or phrase, what exactly do you mean by?
Like what do you mean by synergy?
Haha, yes. Or to prevent misinterpretation, you could say, just to be clear, before you state your understanding.
And checking your understanding, you could use, do you mean that? And then rephrase it.
Perfect. And if you're genuinely lost, it's okay to say, I'm not quite sure I follow. Could you maybe explain that differently?
That takes a bit of courage sometimes, but it's better than guessing.
Much better. And for time stuff, like deadlines, be specific.
Yeah.
When you said urgent, did you mean like today urgent or end of the week urgent? That avoids huge problems.
Being polite but persistent until it's clear.
That's the key. And again, vocabulary helps clarify itself, obviously. Can you clarify high priority? Then misunderstanding, a failure to get it right. There was a misunderstanding about the deadline. Happens all the time.
Unfortunately, yes.
Ambiguous, when something has more than one meaning. Your email was a bit ambiguous about who's doing what. Specific, clearly defined. Could you be more specific about the budget? And interpretation, how someone understands something. Her interpretation was different from mine.
Noticing those nuances really helps you communicate better yourself.
It does. Let's picture a real dialogue, meeting scenario. Manager says, okay, I need you on the Peterson project.
Bit vague.
Right. So a good clarification would be, sure, just to clarify, are you talking about the client presentation part, or is it the market analysis you need help with?
Instantly narrows it down, shows you're thinking it through.
Exactly. Initiative. Or an email clarification. Subjects, clarification needed.
Okay.
Body. Hi, David, thanks for the update. About the support materials you mentioned. Sorry, did you mean the promotional flyers we discussed or the actual product manuals? Cheers, Elena.
Simple question saves potentially hours of working on the wrong thing.
Totally. So that brings us to the third piece, following up.
Ah, yes, the follow-up. Essential.
Absolutely. Following up is basically checking in after a conversation or a meeting, maybe after you send something, just to make sure there's been a resolution or it's been acknowledged or action's been taken.
Keeps the ball rolling. Shows you're committed.
Precisely. And knowing when and why to follow up is important.
Like after sending a proposal or a job interview.
Yeah, or after a meeting where tasks were assigned. Or maybe just when you haven't heard back on something important. A good follow-up shows you're proactive.
What are the common mistakes people make? Following up too much, maybe? Or not at all?
Both. It's definitely a balancing act. You don't want to be annoying, but you also can't let things drift.
So how do you strike that balance? What phrases work?
Well, to gently check on progress, you can say, I'm just following up.
Nice and neutral.
Yeah. To politely ask for an update, maybe try, have you had a chance to? Like, have you had a chance to look at the report?
Okay.
If you need to refer back to a chat, as we discussed, I wanted to check. Works well. To request info, I'd appreciate any update on. Is good. And just to keep the door open, offer help, something like, please let me know if you need anything else from my side.
That's always helpful. Makes it collaborative again.
Right. And you guessed it, vocabulary helps here too.
Let's hear them.
A reminder prompts action, sending a gentle reminder about the invoice.
Gentle is key there sometimes.
Ah, yes. A deadline, the due date. The deadline is Friday. Clear cut. Acknowledgement, confirming receipt or understanding. Thanks for your acknowledgement of the file.
Okay.
Escalate, raising an issue higher up. If there's no reply by Friday, I might need to escalate it. Use with caution.
Good point.
And an update, just the latest info or status. Do you have any updates on the timeline?
Got it. Those give you a good framework.
They do. Let's think scenarios again. Following up after a meeting via email. Subject. Follow up on marketing meeting. Email. Hi team. Just following up on Tuesday's meeting. Minutes and action items attached. Please check your assigned tasks are clear. Let me know if you need anything. Best. Raj. Summarizes, nudges, offers help.
Very efficient. And what about when a client goes silent after you sent a proposal?
Ah, the tricky one. A polite follow-up could be, hi Mark, hope you're having a good week. Just wanted to gently follow up on the proposal I sent last Tuesday about the new campaign. Happy to chat if you have any questions. Best regards, Amelia.
Courteous, professional, not pushy. Just a reminder it's there.
Exactly. It reopens the conversation gently.
Okay, so let's quickly recap the key takeaways then. Confirming.
Prevents miscommunication, ensures everyone's aligned. Use phrases like, just to confirm.
Right. Clarified.
Ensures you really understand, especially with vague stuff. Use, could you clarify? Or similar.
And following up.
Keeps things moving, shows you're on top of it. Phrases like, just following up on, are your friends. These three, they really work together, don't they?
They absolutely do. It's like a three-legged stool for clear communication. Mastering these skills, confirming, clarifying, following up honestly, it will significantly boost your effectiveness, your professionalism when using English in business.
Definitely. It's not just about saying things. It's about making sure they're received, understood, and acted upon correctly.
Yeah. And by being proactive, by ensuring that mutual understanding, maintaining those clear lines, you'll build stronger relationships, get better results. It's an investment.
A really worthwhile investment in your career, absolutely.
So we really encourage you listening to actively try incorporating these phrases, these strategies into your daily work. Notice how others do it too, how they confirm, clarify, follow up, adapt your style. Find what works for you to get maximum clarity.
Practice makes perfect.
It does. And if you found this deep dive helpful, please do give us a like, share it with colleagues or friends who might benefit, and definitely subscribe to this YouTube channel for more insights into effective English communication.